Let's be real for a second. Who doesn't love a good checklist? A shopping list, a to-do list? They make life feel, manageable. And I think a lot of us kind of wish we had something like that for living a good life. Just a simple, clear list of sins to avoid, straight from the source.
So the big question is, does the Bible actually give us that neat and tidy checklist? Well, yes and no. It for sure has lists, a whole bunch of them actually. But as we're about to see, the real story of sin in the Bible is way more complex and honestly, way more interesting than any simple list could ever be.
All right, so to really wrap our heads around this, we've got to go back, way back, to the very first instruction God ever gave humanity.
Believe it or not, it all started with this number. 1. Just a single rule. In the Garden of Eden, God gave Adam one simple command. Don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That was it. Simple, clear, one thing to remember.
But things, well, they escalated. Quickly. Just take a look at how this thing snowballs. We start with Adam and that one command. Then, a while later with Moses, that single rule expands into the famous 10 Commandments. But it doesn't stop there. That summary just balloons into what's called the Torah, this huge legal code for Israel with 613 distinct laws. What a jump, right?
And here they are, the Big 10. Most of us probably know a few of these by heart. But here's the thing you got to remember. These weren't the entire law. A better way to think of them is like chapter headings from a much, much bigger book. They're the summary, not the whole story.
Okay, and this is where it gets super interesting. Jewish rabbis actually went through and tallied up all 613 laws. And get this, 365 of them are negative commands. Thou shalt not. Which, hey, is one don't for every single day of the year. The other 248 are positive commands, the things you're supposed to do. So we're seeing this mountain of rules grow. But the story doesn't stop there. Not by a long shot. Because in the New Testament, Jesus comes along and takes these external laws and pushes the standard much, much deeper, from our actions on the outside to our motives on the inside. Check this out. It's a perfect example. The old law says, you shall not murder. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Don't kill anybody. Got it. But then Jesus says that if you're even angry with someone, you've already broken the spirit of that command in your heart. And just like that, the goalposts move from a physical act to an internal feeling. And we see the exact same pattern with adultery. The law said don't do the physical act. But Jesus says that if you even look at someone with lust, you've already done it in your heart. All of a sudden, keeping the law isn't just about what you do. It's an internal, moment-by-moment battle in your own mind.
And the lists just keep on coming. This one, from the book of Galatians, piles on even more examples. And just look at this list. So many of these are about what's going on inside. Jealousy, selfish ambition, envy. Yeah, that simple checklist we were hoping for? It's getting really long and super personal. And if you thought that was overwhelming, wait till you hear this. The definition of sin gets stretched to its absolute limit. The Bible just drops this line on us. All wrongdoing is sin. It's not just the big, obvious stuff anymore. The category suddenly covers, well, everything.
Right. So just when you feel like you've got a handle on all the stuff you're not supposed to do, the Bible adds this whole other dimension. It's also a sin when you fail to do the good you know you should do. We call these sins of omission. And honestly, at this point, the standard feels, well, completely impossible, right?
And that feeling, that's actually the whole point. Because when you really try to follow a complete list of every single sin, you don't find freedom. You find the exact opposite. You end up feeling buried under this crushing weight of failure. And the Bible actually has a name for this feeling. It's called the curse of the law. I mean, listen to this quote from Galatians. It doesn't get much clearer or harsher than this. To be made right with God by following the list, you have to do everything in it perfectly all the time. If you slip up on just one point, you've failed the whole thing. It's literally all or nothing.
So this brings us to a really logical question, doesn't it? Why? Why would God set up a standard that is impossible for anyone to actually meet? It almost seems like it's designed for us to fail. So, what is the point?
Well, it turns out that this exact feeling, this sense of, there's no way I can do this, that's the key to the whole thing. The real purpose of the law was never for it to be a checklist we could use to earn our way to salvation. It's meant to do something completely different.
So what is the point of an impossible law? Well, just a few verses later, we get the answer. The law's purpose is first to show us that we're under this curse precisely because we can't keep it. And then it points us to the solution.
that Christ redeemed us from that curse by taking it on himself. The Bible uses this really specific word to describe what the law does. It calls it a tutor. And a tutor isn't the final exam, right? A tutor is a guide, an instructor, someone whose whole job is to lead you and bring you to the right answer.
So here's how it all works. It's really a three-step process. Step 1, the law holds up God's perfect, flawless standard. Step 2, it acts like a mirror and it shows us painfully clearly our own inability to ever meet that standard on our own. And that leads us directly to Step 3. It points us away from ourselves and toward Christ, so we can be made right with God by faith, not by trying to check all the boxes, but by trusting in what He's already done.
So we've come full circle. We started out looking for a simple checklist, but instead, what we found was a mirror, an impossibly high standard that wasn't designed for us to achieve, but to show us just how much we need something or someone else. Which leaves us with this final thought. What if the whole point of the list was never about keeping the list at all, but about leading us to the only one who ever could?